Crazy times, it's busy, you know.
Yeah.
Hard to keep everything going, that's for sure, but hopefully it'll
We had to celebrate all year instead of condensing it into 1 month.
right. Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
So, JL, am I right that this is your last meeting?
Last regular.
Regular.
Yeah.
Will you be at the special?
Yep.
You will? Okay, good. So we get you for all of
As
December.
long as you leave the date alone.
Yes, we're gonna leave it. We want you there.
I hope to be here.
Yes.
The 21st.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on vacation that week, so.
Okay, well, you know, we'll make it worth your while. How about
Yeah, nothing better to do on
holiday cheer
vacation than
afterwards?
come to a meeting.
I order cookies from the Hive.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
A band and champagne and, you know, the usual.
That's a good idea. Right.
Yeah.
Buy me a coffee. No, $36 to I won't take that. We have 5, 4, there. You can ready? 2, 1. Well, they're not leaving.
That just meant that the camera's on.
We were
Dave.
afraid you weren't going to make it. I don't like going out in the cold weather anymore.
You turning into a freeze baby?
Yeah.
Are we still doing Zoom then or not?
Nope, Masaba Community TV is here. So, and they live stream on YouTube, so.
I don't understand any of that.
I'll explain it to you sometime.
If you go to our website, there's a
I will. You better go home and study up first.
Dave will give you a
Tutorial?
Yeah.
You can hold a class.
These are IT go-to guys.
They have some community classes at Wasabi East. I'm not joking, they do. Yeah, they do. Help people manage their phones and computers.
manage.
Dave's kind of our IT person here at City of Aurora, so we really rely on him for that. Hi, Steve.
Is Dave coming in here?
Yeah, come on in.
Depends on. It's early.
The camera is live, so just give me a heads up.
I'm not in the way, am I?
You probably picked up on audio.
Feel free to point the camera at him. Right, Steve? Just make sure you get the good side.
Well, I missed part of that discussion. So I was going to say keep it on JL all night since this.
Yes, you're.
But you are going to be one more meeting?
There it is.
Yeah.
So when did you first come on the council?
August of 2016.
Oh. Well, that's longer than 3 of us, right? Yes.
Looks like you're the winner,
still
Dave.
a record holder.
Senior council member.
Yeah.
I'm just senior.
How about yes, Your Majesty?
Yeah, no. just old guy.
Just as long as we don't have to curtsy when we talk.
Mayor, don't be doing that.
Oh, yeah, well. Steph will kick me under the table if I not
You
order.
guys still.
You'll get your afternoon nap.
Oh, man, yeah. That's what I was wondering.
We have not seen any here.
Yeah.
And one of the conservation confronted last.
So who's doing the policy report? Is that?
Talisha took it.
We're on live, so
Oh, yes, yeah.
We're on YouTube. Do you know what that is?
He bought behind his place. Yeah, he also
streaming,
table too.
whatever.
And the YouTube showing accessible
I think
at
Mike
later time?
said
Yes.
he's. I don't
Yep,
think
and there's a
he's
link on our
hunting, but I
website. I'll
think
talk
he said
about
he has
it.
seen
Just
you.
last month was a test, and then they did get it up, and then this is their plan moving forward.
That's reassuring.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so yeah, I've got that.
But, you know, a lot of people in our
maybe I'll make sure that I say.
Get a haircut, Wade.
Oh,
I did.
So
did.
people coming
You're
right,
good.
like,
Got 'em all.
Everyone after, I don't know if you deer hunt, but isn't it, I noticed after
that
deer
right?
hunting, there's a lot of people that kind of, you know, wait until after deer hunting to like trim up the beards and the hair and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden have to get tidied up for like Thanksgiving and
Be nothing to
Christmas.
see 4 or 5 deer like over in our block.
Crystal hasn't
For the family
taken the
photos.
note, you know,
I've
but
seen
usually
8
for
deer,
Christmas,
you know,
I'm
I
like,
mean,
all right, no, it's been long
It's
enough.
only been 1 or 2, you know.
I wonder where Elizabeth Gardens plans are. I think he just grew up for hunting, didn't he? Or-
how many have been?
What?
I haven't heard anything, but all I know is that in our
I see him
backyard, we
walking
used to
very
have
briskly across town.
two. Now we're down to 2.
But otherwise,
That's the only time I see him, that's what he's
He
doing.
sat and sat and sat and sat and sat. If it warms up, he'll sit again.
Well, I was gonna say, I was doing
I just
during
talked
this
to
cold
Brian,
weather.
he's not feeling very good, so he didn't know he'd talk to it.
Tough city, no.
Tough city, yeah, for a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
He said he didn't have anything, 'cause there's really no need, so
no.
But he's trying, he
Okay.
really
I didn't
wants
see
to.
any reason. The next
He gets off the bus and he's walking up to the
Yes.
house.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I forgot to send you the link, which I could right now, but
That's how no-
I'll just email him and tell him.
I just talked to him.
Okay, you're good.
He's been under the weather for a while now. Yeah, he's rallying.
No, some that doesn't. I let him try because that, well, it's a kind of exciting.
just not
Let him
getting
try
the
this.
experience.
Put this back in
For
it.
the staff updates, I'll leave the water treatment facility.
No, Tim, I haven't seen the numbers yet. No, Tim normally gets those
Say
out
that we did
pretty
that.
quick or whatever.
I haven't seen Tim in a while. How is he?
Last time I saw him, he
Oh
came
my
in, he
God.
had,
It wasn't in my notes.
which I know.
Sorry.
Skin cancer, he
Okay,
had that
well,
removed or
I'm
whatever.
amnesia setting in.
Yeah,
But otherwise I
the
couldn't
last
think
meeting,
of-
was it? I don't think.
No, it
We did
happened.
talk about the something.
When I see him, it must have been last week one day. He
Okay.
just gone in the day before or whatever, had it removed or whatever,
I
yeah.
haven't had an update on some of the expressions for a while.
And you hear more and more
Yeah, in a couple
people.
weeks, but we could get one from Brian, maybe at our next council meeting too.
She's years younger than
Yeah.
It's been about a month.
She's had
Yeah.
big
Yeah,
I
and
think we've gone well.
Yeah,
Heard any
yeah.
complaints.
My sister's had.
the feedback I've been getting has been from,
Go ahead, let's call the meeting together. The internet tells me it's 5:30. So could we have a roll call, please?
Gregor,
Present, you're here. Yeah.
Loxo,
Here,
Honkala,
Here.
Jofs. Here. Warshak.
Present.
All right, we have full council present and here. And so we'll proceed to the agenda. First of all, we have to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On our prepared agenda, we have the consent agenda first for consideration, which consists of the items on the agenda that are marked with asterisks. And the usual procedure is just to ask any counselors like to remove any items for separate discussion or in the proposed consent agenda. Seeing none, then is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda in total?
so moved.
Support him.
All right, moved by Councilor. All right, and supported. So any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The consent agenda is adopted. And by the way, we do have the revised agenda. Everyone got that? All right, it was different than the earlier calculated one.
It was set out in front of everyone.
Yeah, right. So, and the audience has that also, or?
Yep.
Okay. Moving on then to the agenda. Item 10 is appearances, the public forum. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the council at this time?
We have you for an agenda
Oh,
item.
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta stay here a while longer.
It's warm.
It is.
All right, seeing none, and I assume no one's requested to appear online. All right. Then we'll next have reports from staff members, starting first with the city clerk. Steph?
Yes, so just a couple things. We submitted our application to deed for the community center funding. We should know by the end of January for this application whether we receive funding or not. And that was with assistance from Custodian Group, the newly hired group to assist with that sort of thing. The camera installs finally started this week, so Charlie was here all day today and plans to be here all week. Once that's up and running, I will make sure to keep everybody posted, but the majority of the cameras are just for the exterior of City Hall, a few in City Hall as well, and access to that would be requested through East Range PD if there was ever a need. And then just an update as well is that Mesaba Community TV is here again. Last month they did a test run on live streaming videos again of the council meetings through YouTube. Everything seemed to go well, and that's the plan moving forward. So just an update for everybody as well. The link's on our website already, and if anyone has any questions, reach out to someone in the clerk's office. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And I take it the grant application went in timely?
It did, yes.
Good. Several people were monitoring it, so
Yes.
that's good. Okay.
Group effort.
Public Works Director Thuringer?
Well, we experienced our first big snow, and with one new staff member, we have some new routes. I think everything went pretty well. We've continued to clean up. We've got all the decorations up for the holidays. I'd just like to wish everybody a happy holiday season.
Thank you, and thanks to the crews for so aggressively going after and cleaning everything up. It looks like we're in a good position to await the next storm then. All right, thanks very much. City Attorney?
Just what's on the agenda, Mayor.
All right, thank you for that. And I believe Councilor Honkala, you're going to give the library report?
I am. Paula was kind enough to type this up for me, so I'll read her words. Rebecca Ronning has worked her first full week at the Aurora Public Library and is a wonderful addition to the team. There's a lot to learn, and she is making a good start and learning well. The library distributed all the 3 button bowl sewing project kits and all of the craft stick, cocoa cup, and marshmallow guy kits last month. This month's project is paper craft Christmas cards in a bag kit. Each kit contains directions and most supplies needed to make 10 different Christmas cards. There is also a list of suggestions of people to whom you might consider sending your cards, including local nursing homes and assisted living facilities. This kit is made possible through a ARPA subgrant from Arrowhead Library System. Thanks, Paula. This is the kit that she wanted to share with the council as well as the public to make your take and make Christmas cards. I won't take out individual things. If you'd like to look at them, I'll keep it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for that report. I believe that calls upon all the department heads turning to councilors for their reports. Councilor Loxo.
Just one item there. As many of you know, this is my last regular city council meeting. During the past 5 years and 5 months, it's been quite an experience, a learning one for sure. I've served as liaison on many boards and committees over the years and hope to continue to serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'd like to thank the 3 mayors, council members, city staff, and city attorneys I had the opportunity to work with during my terms. Last but not least, thank you to the citizens of Aurora who trusted and supported me over the years. Yours sincerely, James Loxo.
Well, we have one more council meeting, but I think I speak for the council in just expressing the deepest gratitude for all the contributions you've made in so many ways over these years. And I've only been there for a portion of the time, but it's certainly been impressive. And I'm glad to hear that you want to continue on the planning and zoning, because you're really the stalwart member on that with all the experience and insights there. So we'll hopefully not hesitate to enlist you in other community projects once you retire from this formal position. But Certainly want to thank you again for that, all those years of service.
Thank you, Mayor.
So I hope I wasn't too effusive. No, yes. I see no dissenting opinions, so we'll move on. Then Councilor Jobs.
So the Joint Advisory Committee, I got an update from Mark Gert. He said that basketball registration went really well. There's an increase in youth participation. They were really worried after last year, but this year they had 130 kids signed up in the programs from K through 6th grade. Currently for the basketball, they have a team in each of the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, both boys and girls, so that's really good. Pony League starts January 5th and goes through February 23rd. He did say that if you wanted a list of all the games and stuff that are scheduled, you could go onto the website and get that. Planning and zoning, things are starting to slow down a little bit. Last meeting we had 3 applicants, but there's still some improvements that are happening throughout town. We will be looking for some new members in planning and zoning. We're dwindling down a little bit, so if anybody's interested or if you know anybody that's interested, please tell them to come and apply. As far as the like the internet and stuff, we're waiting for a North Span meeting to come up, if I remember correctly reading that. There is some meeting coming up, so hoping we'll be getting more updates soon. And other than that, that's it. So.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor Johnson. Councilor Onkala?
The cemetery committee doesn't meet during the winter, so nothing new there. The parks, you read the minutes, and the parks committee would like to see new trash cans placed at each of the parks. A little bit more durable, something similar to the one that was recently purchased by Spruce Up Aurora for the splash pad. Just something to consider when you're reviewing those minutes. Trash, the Public Works last month picked up a pretty large pile of trash off the old railroad grade. It runs parallel to the railroad tracks. The trash is back there again. We have mattresses for you now, Wayne. All kinds of assortment of things. It's getting to the point where, I mean, maybe put up a camera.
I was going to say some cameras.
Like a game camera, so we can at least get an image of who's dumping their stuff.
Yep.
I wanted to remind the public that it wasn't the Easter egg shopper, but it's now time to license your dogs, cats, animals. And it is essential because even well-trained animals wander off, and with a proper license, they can find their owner quickly, right? Tri-City Ambulance meets next week. And that's all I have for right now, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Warshak.
I'm just going to add a little bit. I appreciate JL's years of service. JL stepped in when Scott Smolich, because of health issues, couldn't continue, and he's been a great member of the council, and appreciate your years, JL. So and hopefully look forward to maybe having you back on again sometime. So appreciate it. So. Then the Public Works, first big snow, and seemed like things went pretty smooth with a new person, and appreciate that, Wayne. Rams meeting this week. We talked about our meetings being long. The Rams meeting went for 2.5 hours. I don't want to scare Norma Jean off, but but they had the whole, I believe it was the whole range delegation spoke, and they like to talk. What I took out of it, I think there's some concerns about redistricting and how that could affect maybe some of our smaller communities or whatever, and maybe even Aurora or whatever. And then this is a bonding year, but it sounds like it's real political, and it sounds like it'll be interesting to see how that goes too. So something to keep an eye on. And then the annual meetings on 12/29. It was in part of the agenda, and we have to RSVP by 12/20. So let Steph know if you can make the annual meeting. And hopefully everybody has a Merry Christmas. So,
Thank you, Councilor Warshak. Out of curiosity, if more than 2 of us attend the Rams annual meeting,
It's fine.
Any special notices?
No.
No. Okay. just
No city business has talked about it. Yeah.
yeah, trying to make clear on that. Well, let's see. I have a list as usual. It seems like the level of involvement and activity of the community is just bubbling up as we've gotten to more advanced stages on the pandemic recovery. We had the annual meeting of the Chamber of Commerce, which is being revived. Lance and Amanda Johnson have kind of sustained it over a period of time, but it was very heartening to see. I think about 20 people showed up for that meeting, and it was the start of what Lance was projecting would be a much more involved role of the Chamber in Celebrate Aurora events and other committee and community activities. So I certainly wish that organization well. We had a housing summit that was facilitated by Northspan on behalf of the East Range Joint Powers Board, and that was held at the Hive's new large meeting room. And that was, I think, a good start to something if it follows up on it. Councilor Warshak was duly recalling that there have been other efforts there, but Julie Petruska, who's a specialist in housing, was there to provide some very good comments, and I think there was the general sense that this could actually be a more intensive initiatives in those areas. So Celebrate Aurora has been doing a food truck out at Sherring's. I hope that's been appreciated. It was a little rough start getting going, but the idea was to do it on certain days of the week and take advantage of the new food truck that Celebrate has to provide some lunches for some of the participants in all the activities out there. Grocery store, the asbestos has been removed. I can personally attest to the extensiveness of that. So the stage is being set for the grocery store, and the developers are still sort of targeting like a late January closing on the acquisition of the real estate. On the water project, we are at least the 90% design phase. Funding initiatives are progressing pretty well. It's still envisioned to be like a $20.5 million project at this time. And we did acquire the parcel that is the critical sort of entrance to the water treatment plant site by the water tower off of Highway 100 or 3rd Avenue in town here. So that's been acquired thanks to the city clerk staff there. Let's see, for those who watch public television, the Iron Opera was aired. This is a 1-hour documentary on our Northern Lights Music Festival's opera, where they went in with a documentary crew 6 weeks before production and showed just how an opera gets developed, merging the local talent with the international stars that come in to do that. So it's going to be great publicity, I think, for our community, because it's going to be aired on PBS stations syndicated around the region. And hopefully that'll bring in some more interest there. And let's see. Other than that, I just want to express my anticipation of Santa, who's going to be coming to town, I think, before our next meeting. So Friday, all right. So we have good information sources and well connected with that community there. So that's my report.
Steve's new business agenda item up before the old business.
All right,
meeting.
yeah. With the consent of the council, wondering if we could move the consideration of the Shearing land purchase up in deference to the presence of Steve here. So let's see, that is agenda item 17.1. Is there any objection to considering that matter at this time? All right, if not, City Clerk, do you want to present the issue? And we have comments from Mr. Shearing.
Sure, yeah. So I had communicated with Steve last week, I believe it was, and he asked to speak before the council. You received the documents that had a map with kind of an outline of the land that he'd potentially like to purchase. So I'll turn it over to you and let you fill the gaps, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, we call it north of our property, there's a hole that's sunk in the ground from the underground mine, and I own about 3/4 of the way around it. And my goal is to secure the rest of the land around it, which is basically unusable for anything as far as building. So the whole process started with Britt when she was here. He left, Kim took over, and he left, got fell off. Jesse took over, and he left, I kind of went along. Stuff is here to be the miracle worker. And, so the plan all along was it's unusable land, and if I could get the land, I would pay for the legal expenses to secure the land. They would put it on your tax basis, and it would create a safer place back there, and it would give me a little security on my water source for snowmaking. And
If I recall correctly, there are some trails that run through it.
I think there is. I think that's more on this side where you guys have the easement, and then it also wouldn't be part of where you guys have your storage for your gravel and stuff. It'd be beyond that. You know, there'd be like a little notch where the city has their gravel storage and things like that. So it's basically just around the perimeter of that, excuse me, sinkhole.
And I did some digging around. I had forwarded to the council actually today. I found when you were working with Britt, there was a legal description in the same outline of the land that was put together for consideration. So it looked like it aligned with exactly. It looked. I think it was 2015.
Right.
So.
And City Attorney, have we already done kind of like a title search to?
Well, I'd have to check my
title. Or?
I'd have to check my file, but for some reason it didn't go through, and I can't recall why the sale didn't go through back in 2015. I don't know if it was the school project or trails or city.
I think it just got left in, well, it is my understanding, and everybody's busy. I think the one sale, because of the school that didn't go through, was the land between our property and the school. There's a 5-acre area there that's only accessible from the north through the right-of-ways for the city. That was an area we tried to secure when the school building was going on, but it was put on hold because you weren't sure where your trail was going through there.
If the mayor and council are interested, they could direct myself and Clerk Dickinson and work with Wayne and make sure, it doesn't have any city purpose. And then, if they're interested in that, and go from there.
Yeah, I noticed the city clerk's memorandum said that one of the options for us was the value brought back to us could be at a closed meeting after a proposed purchase price has been sort of discussed.
And negotiate a sale, that type of thing.
Right, and then you're suggesting just consideration also in the interim of those other issues that you outlined there, right? Wayne, it looked like you were wanting to make a comment or not?
Well, I've walked that property. I really don't see any use for the city, and as a matter of fact, it might be, as far as the requirement for us to keep old mine lands fenced off and the maintenance of fence and all of that, that Steve would be inheriting a piece of that problem. So my recommendation would be to
Don't tell him
forward.
He's already got 3/4 of it, so.
He's not getting up to leave, so I think it won't be news there. So. All right, well, Council, Mr. Shering, do you have anything else to add?
No, I don't. I mean, Norman brought it back to my attention. It's just like it kind of been on my back burner because I have to wear about 12 hats a day, and I just haven't had time to really pursue it. Like I say, I don't think there's a value in selling to me, but I think there's a value in me taking care of the legal expenses, the transfer of the property, and going on your tax rolls so that you'll get a little more fuel for that brand new grader for next year. Because right now, it's unusable land for anybody. And it's more of a security deal and create a safe space for me.
Well, it's been a long courtship, so hopefully that'll work to everyone's benefit there. The city attorney more or less outlined a proposed course of action. Is there a motion to pursue that referral that he was referring to?
I'll support it.
Okay.
All right, it's been moved by Councilor Jobs and supported by Councilor Honkala. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. It's referred for final preparations, I guess, of a sales transaction, and we thank you. I know it's an exceptionally busy season for you, so appreciate your coming to a council meeting.
Yeah, and I certainly don't mind it. And I also want to say, we moved in here in 2003, and it's been very rewarding working with the city of Aurora. They've been very proactive in supporting us. And, obviously we make a little noise this time of the year, but I think it's really good for bringing money into the town on a shoulder season when there's no golfing, there's no skiing going on. So, it's been mutually beneficial for both of us, but I just want to say thank you guys because, it really was a catalyst to get that park going. There are a few other people in there, and I see good things happening.
Well, we wish you luck on all of those activities. And just an observation, how has the food truck been doing on its maiden voyage there?
It's been going okay. I expected better business, but it's just like anything, there's an incubation period and people have to, we put it on social media sites and it was okay. I can say that for a first year and I encourage them, to build off of that, but everything's a crapshoot now.
Yeah,
the thing was, there wasn't a lot of cost involved. I donate electricity, everybody there donated their time, maybe a couple of day old buns got thrown out, but it wasn't, still positive.
Yeah, I think Lakehead provided some support also for the project, and it certainly was a good coming together of the
Just
community.
everybody working together to try to help out, that's what it was. You'll never succeed if you don't try.
Was the track use down a little bit early, Steve, or it didn't seem like as many racers or testers?
So here's
or
what's
whatever.
going on. So 3 years ago, we had a race on Thanksgiving.
Right.
And we're the only track open in the United States. So we had a season that was about this wide with a peak like this.
Sure.
Now the first race got pushed back till after the first of the year. So now we have a season this wide with a curve like this. So there's as many people coming, if not more. It's just spread out over a longer time.
Okay.
The window is a lot bigger. And at this point, we're still the only track open in the United States. So we have people from Europe, Sweden, Norway, Canada, United States, everybody's here, which is really a cool deal. I think these are the best people in the world in this sport hanging out, in this town and along the different wavelengths. So, but yeah, it's been very effective, and I probably know more about weather than anybody on the TV, and I also watch the other competitors, I guess you call them, make sure that they're warm and we can make snow. I don't know if that's a problem, but it seems like we have the window up here to do that. And like I said, the city's been very helpful and working with Wayne. If we have an issue, we work together, and there's something to be said for that old school stuff yet.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the new snow.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Going back to the agenda then, moving to item 16.1, the city clerk's agenda memo is conspicuously blank on that, so I'm going to report. We had a committee, if you remember, reported to assigned to pursue it further. That consisted of Councilor Laxo, Brian Bolton from Bolton, or Brian Goldan from Bolton and Mank, Wayne and myself, and we had a committee meeting, I believe it was last week, and what we discussed, what we've, I think, reached, at least with that group, consensus of how to proceed, and we thought that it would be prudent to come to us as the council first for some guidance and approval so we don't get ahead of the game in terms of taking specific steps to resolve the issue. So I'm going to make a motion that I think is consistent with what the committee is recommending, that the council hereby authorizes the 6th Street Odor Committee to meet with the owners of the holding tank system currently connected to the city sewer lines and to offer city financial assistance in an amount not to exceed $15,000 for the construction of an alternative private on-site drain field disposal system that would not be connected to the city sewer system. Is there support for that motion?
Can you repeat that?
So,
I want to know,
I could-
repeat what you, I just,
All right, so
What-
it's a motion to authorize the committee to now go to meet with the owners of
Okay.
the holding tank that's currently connected to our sewer
Yep.
system, and to offer to them financial assistance, the details of which we've talked about within the community, but trying in respect to the homeowners to leave the table somewhat clear. We're just saying in an amount not to exceed in total $15,000 for the construction of an alternative private on-site drain field disposal system that would not be connected to the city sewer system.
okay. So we're offering them financing, or, because there's a word, or are we paying for the thing, paying for it?
The committee's recommendation and is envisioning that we'd be providing financing.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure.
All right,
I wanted to make sure.
So,
I'll support that.
And I'll, oh yeah.
all right, it's been moved and then supported.
I'll support.
Twice supported, so that speaks well for the fate of the motion. Are there any other further comments or discussion of the point? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And I would hope that by the next meeting, we'll be able to, as a committee, to, I don't know what your availability is, Wayne, in the meantime, or you aren't on vacation or anything, are you?
No.
All right, so,
Well, Mayor, I
Yes.
think we ought to reach out to the homeowners and ask them when they'd be available for a meeting on their, at their convenience, you know?
right.
Just don't shoot them a date and say, be here, you know?
No,
See
I-
when they're available and
Yeah.
see if we can get
I'm sure we
together.
don't want to aggravate a situation
Yes.
that's been a great concern to the neighborhood and to them, I'm sure, too. So very good, sage advice from our veteran counselor
But,
to be diplomatic. Yeah.
You know, if they accept this, they will be disconnected from the city system. And by the sounds of what we've been hearing from the testimony at the meetings and stuff, these problems came to be when they were connected in. So if they're eliminated from the system, it kind of washes our hands of this matter, so.
Well, we'll hope to come to a meeting of the minds on that, and I think that takes care of that item of business. Moving next to the agenda item on Sunset Park. No, I'm sorry, on our printed agenda is the Central Park recommendations to sell. The city attorney, we have notes, was reviewing the documents from First American Title. City attorney, do you have comments?
Still in Central Park, looking at that one, I know we talked about this a number of years ago and, it didn't proceed. I can't find my file. I asked Steph if she located a file, and she didn't locate a file. And then there's been discussions of people saying, that the same thing I thought, that 10, 15 years ago that we looked at it and, it didn't proceed, but I'm still looking for my file on that one.
So it'd be your recommendation, we table it?
Table that one.
You?
Yeah.
All right. Is there a motion to table?
So moved.
I'll support it.
Moved and supported. Further discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving to 16.3 Sunset Park, a recommendation to sell.
A little background on that one. Back when Mr. Hodnick, Mayor Hodnick was mayor, that parcel of land was owned by Grevence, if I said the name correctly, and there was a situation where they allowed the city of Aurora to use it as a playground, and the city of Aurora kind of paid their real estate taxes. So it was a win-win for the parcels. Then I think there was a big assessment against the parcel, and at that time, Grevence was in Florida and said, hey, how about we sell it to the city of Aurora for $1? And so Mike Patchen of our office did that transaction back in 1997, and that is when the city of Aurora got ownership of the property from Jeannie Grevence. And so that was the property in question, and it was all that part of the southeast quarter of northwest quarter. So that's when Aurora came ownership. There was no contingency or to be used as a park or anything on that deed. So again, ask Steph if there's anything in the minutes of the city of Aurora making it a park, and of course that's from 1997 forward, probably almost an impossible task. But there's nothing of record with the St. Louis County Recorder's Office indicating that it was designated or parkland. So it's mainly just owned by the city of Aurora.
So, based on the clerk's memo, basically the options we have before us is whether we'd like to sort of actively promote the lands for sale, which we apparently own without encumbrance, or whether we want to sort of have it as an available property, just like many of the other parcels in the city. And in my own mind, what I'm thinking, by the way, is I do sense that there's going to be some concerted effort to identify housing needs and housing developer options. And on the one hand, I'm glad to see that this could become another site that's available for consideration, but I kind of wonder in my own mind whether we ought to, before actually actively marketing it, get a better picture of how the various pieces of our fulfilling our housing needs are going to fall into place. So I guess I'd like to make a motion that we make the lands available for sale, but not actively market them at this point. Is there support for?
I think you have to determine how is it going to be residential or something else, or if so, how are you going to break that land up? I mean, what type of lots are you talking about? Is it going to be survey? I mean, that's what you have to decide as a council is, what's the best route to take.
Yeah, ideally, I'd envision, and from your experience, we'd have some kind of a development agreement.
Yeah, I'll support this so we could discuss this,
Okay.
but I would definitely make sure that if we put this up for sale, that we have to decide when we sell it, are we going to have like a time frame that a person can build on, what you have to build, the stipulations. It can't just be a garage or a storage unit or a place to park a camper. I know that we have an ordinance right now in town, you can't bring in campers and stuff like that, but we definitely have to have that stuff in place because we don't want somebody, I could see somebody just buying it and saying, I'm going to keep it as up with that. We can have people come in and develop on it. So if we're going to do that, and we're going to split this park up, then we need to have some stipulations in place.
Yeah.
So, and you have to do that before you list it for sale because, and I think we learned that with another parcel that we had for sale in the city of Aurora, is you can't change it once it's for sale. I mean, once you have it listed, everything has to be out in the open. So I think it's important to get that stuff all situated before we list it for sale. So, I mean, if we're gonna have some stipulations to that land, it has to be marketed that way. You can't say, okay, we're gonna sell the land, somebody comes in, puts an offer, and we say, oh, by the way, you have to build a house in such and such time, or you have to build something in a certain period of time.
So our motion that you supported would essentially be that we posture it as being available for sale, but not actively market it, and
Contingent upon
developing as a
Contingent upon developing some kind of plan, some kind of a
community plan for how it.
Then it's not for sale.
It's not for sale, it's just-
your,
yeah.
the council has to decide what kind of covenants or conditions they want on the property. You know.
So the North Span's website that we have currently right now has city-owned property that's available to be sold. It's not necessarily on there that there's like a development plan fully executed, established, but you can put comments on there, parameters that the city would like to see. You all received that link earlier this year. If you want to review it again, it sounds like that might be a good option because again, it's available. We're allowed to sell it, but it's, so we had a business that was looking to potentially expand in Aurora last week. I can give them that link and they know here are the sites where you could potentially build, but it would be, if you want to make an offer, you have to come to council, give them the full plan. So there's that option, or it sounds like a much more detailed process that again,
I mean, it's going to be for commercial or residential. I mean, that's what you guys.
Yeah, that's the. I just want to make sure that we don't get into trouble. That's all.
I guess I'm trying to figure out if there's any inconsistency between the motion that's on the table and what you're saying. In other words, that we list it as being available for sale, but we not actively market it. That was my intent, and I think.
Well, it was just, I seconded it so we could discuss it. And so, I just worry about listing it for sale to market it, but we don't have what the stipulations are there.
I think
Like I said, we ran into that position when there was some land that the HRA sold.
Right.
And yeah, this was before I was on city council, and trust me,
I think
I was sweating bullets.
I think you'd want to amend your motion or
Yeah, it'll have to be amended. Yep.
add that contingency. But I also think that what Steph said, and Mike, you correct me if we're wrong, but I think we could list it as city-owned property that could be developed, or
With city approval. Okay.
Do we have an option somehow available to do that? Sort of.
yeah, that would just become part of the program that North Span has that, so when them or IRRR, or if someone contacts the city directly, that land's available for a developer to say, regardless of what they are, whether they want housing, commercial, whatever, a townhome, then, that's, if someone contacts me here at the city, regardless of, and it's something that I was thinking we could even add to the website as well, is what land in the city is available. People are driving around and they see a lot of green space, and who is it? The railroad owns big pieces by the railroad tracks. Mm-hmm. The city has some. Across from A&W, that's the owners of the A&W. So what does the city have, and what does the city's land, which of that is available for any sort of use?
So we've made some progress by knowing that there are no encumbrances on it and that it is city-owned.
With North Span, then, can we, so if a developer comes to us, then at that time we can put those stipulations on the developer.
Yep.
We can say you have to build in such amount of time, that kind of stuff. All those things that we kind of did last time, we didn't do last time. So. Okay.
All right, well, I'm trying to reflect on what the motion as it's evolved would be, but I
So I amended for city council approval upon before it's actually
offered.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll take that as a friendly amendment of the
Yes.
thing, and the support being there. Other discussion from councilors? If not, the motion's before us. The city clerk, you're cleared up on what it is? All right, so all those in favor say aye.
Can I?
Aye.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the motion real quick, Steph? I just want to make sure everything
One of you
is.
can make the motion.
What's that?
One of you are free to make the motion if you
No,
would
can
like
you
it.
repeat? I just want to make sure that we. I'm sorry.
I
want to
think
make
Steph
sure.
just answered that question. Yes, I believe our motion is that we would list it on our site as city-owned land that would be available subject to council approval for potential sale and development.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yep.
Is that okay for the city
Yeah.
clerk? All right. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, that motion carries.
Public.
Moving on to 16.4, the Zito franchise agreement. Just to have a little bit of an update on that. Our committee has not met. I have recruited a citizen to become involved on that committee. I have to say that attending the chamber annual meeting was very informative of a lot of concerns that a number of citizens have about Zito's service under its current franchise. And so I think it would be advisable at this point to just leave it on the table and proceed to try to get more information under the existing franchise agreement. And City Attorney, I assume you've received no pressure from them?
No, I mean, that's been hanging out there, and with the change in ownership and, broadband coming to the forefront, I think it makes sense to hold off.
And the other broadband-related item on that is the fact that the CTC group, the cooperative, has expressed some interest that I believe Councilor Jobs' firm has benefited from so far, and that certainly could be pursued while the Zito situation's being explored.
So not to be real stickler on this, but was the original committee formed by council approval?
Yes.
And was that person that you said you added to on that
Well,
list?
the motion that was approved was that there would be a citizen member.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I couldn't remember, yeah.
I think it's fair to say I've talked to Steve and Joanne Jasperson, who were
They've been waiting a long time. I think.
they have had service occasionally, and they came to a meeting that I'd had with Representative Liz Lagarde, and they had brought several of their neighbors, and so that was what was sort of adding to the concern about the renewal. Does that satisfy you?
Well, since who is the person? So we know.
Oh, well, I said it. It was basically actually Steve and Joanne Jasperson.
Oh, so it's two people.
Well, yes, yeah. I mean, husband and wife. That's
fine.
Yes, they could argue it over.
No, I think that's good. I know they've had issues, so I think that's good. Yeah.
All right. So, let's see. So, unless someone wants to take that off the table, I think we'll just leave it on the table. Is that all right? All right, moving on to agenda item 16.5, resolution 2021-29, published proceedings, the alternatives, and the city clerk's agenda memo. Kind of brings us up to date on some of the discussions there. City clerk?
Yeah, I received the 2 emails that council received as well regarding the publishing proceedings or the alternative. We received a handful of calls at the clerk's office as well, and the people that I spoke to were fine with a mailing, and what was the consensus you got mostly?
Kind of, indifferent, I would say. There were very few that were all for one. They mostly just wanted to kind of stick with whatever would save the city money. So.
I think one element that I wasn't clear on when it last came up for discussion was the point you clarified before the meeting, namely that the community television filming of these first of the month council meetings would be streamed on YouTube, right? And
Yep.
then also subsequently available on
after.
YouTube.
Yeah.
So that would approximate the access that was previously available through the Facebook.
Right, yep, and our website's been updated with the link to their YouTube channel.
All right. So if we discontinue the publication, we have the option of citizens' right to specifically request copies of the minutes to be mailed to them.
Yep.
They have the ability to see on community TV the proceedings, and they have the ability on YouTube to also access at a later time the same proceedings, right?
Yes.
So that's.
Yep.
So as terms of action and as a council, let's see. I guess there is a prepared resolution, 2029.
It was in last month's packet.
Oh, it was in last month's packet? All right. Now, would that motion need to be amended to reflect these additional elements of our publication? Again, I thought that it was
No.
just saying that they would.
The state statute specifically outlines that if the council so chooses, they'd be able to approve the alternative, and the alternative would be is that a mailed copy would be sent out to any resident that requested it. And we have a list of people that are emailed, for example, copies of the agenda before every council meeting. So it would be similar, a list of residents that would receive mailed copies of meeting minutes once they were approved. And that list would be maintained annually with a request to kind of re-up their interest.
Yeah, I guess the only concern I've got, again, going back to that original resolution, would be that it also, not just what the state statute allows, but indicates that we will continue to have the community television filming of the events, and that those will be made available on YouTube. So if that's not clear in the resolution, I guess I'd like to move the resolution with that amendment. And I don't have the resolution in front of me, so I'm sorry. Is there a second to that proposed course?
I'll support that.
All right, it's been supported. So further discussion. It's a move that obviously we all have in our minds, still trying to be very transparent with our constituents.
Well, I will tell you, I got more than one email, and I had more than one person come and talk to me about this. I personally feel that we should continue to publish these meeting minutes. Yeah, it's $3,000, but really people need to know what we're doing. There's other cities right now that this townspeople are in an uproar because they feel that the council is not being transparent. We have the capability of putting things on Facebook, and I will tell you right now, I'm going to use my mom as an example. As a child, I set my mom up on Facebook, and I help her with it. I'm not familiar with YouTube. I don't have cable TV, so I can't go in on that. I'm not going to start trying to explain YouTube to my mom at 70 years old. FaceTime or Facebook is something that she has easily accessible to her. We had all the technology put in with our COVID money. We are ahead of the game amongst all of these other cities. I don't see why we shouldn't be streaming this on Facebook. People, we were having 400 views. We've never had 400 people sitting at our meetings, ever.
I thought we were talking about printing, not Facebook.
But I'm just saying, but the printing also is $3,000. Still, we have the capability.
But a lot of people don't get the paper either, though, Norm.
Yeah, you'd have to purchase the paper.
Yeah.
It's not free.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm still, I mean, I feel like this, if we pull it out of the paper and we're not streaming it on Facebook, all we're doing is on YouTube and on the website.
And
we're
YouTube
not,
is even something I do.
you do YouTube?
Yeah.
I don't do YouTube. So and I don't have
YouTube and
cable.
go there.
Yeah.
Easy.
The one thing I want to say about YouTube, and again, just kind of some of these things are administrative choices, and I'll take the heat for that, certainly. Facebook, you do have to have an account. You have to register, you have to be signed up, all that stuff. YouTube is extremely user-friendly. The link to get to their YouTube channel is on our website. It's one click. There's many of the other cities in the area, that's where their meetings are. So I want everyone to check it out. You don't have to have an account. You don't have to search for our page. It's very, very easy. So I reassure you, it's not overcomplicating things. It's basically giving the same service that we had before that's maintained by someone else. So when I'm not here, there is someone else is here recording these videos, putting it on their website. And again, there's the records retentions as well. We're receiving quite a few complaints on our Facebook page as well. And we have a record retention schedule that we approve and adopt and become a part of, and none of those complaints were being part of our retention methods here at the city. So that's asking a lot of the clerk's office as well to screenshot or track or log all them complaints as well. Speaking of transparency, we do have methods where we can not hide comments, but if you're not a friend of someone on Facebook, their comments won't show up. So there's a transparency issue. When it's on Mesaba Community TV's YouTube, we don't run into any of them issues. So I just want to say again that I've done my research on this. I've contacted the league. I've contacted other city administrators and clerks, and I've received a lot of support, and I get that some residents aren't happy with it. But for the clerk's office, I do think it's a much better route.
Can I add something as the youngest city staff member too? I'm very familiar with both Facebook and YouTube. And actually, ironically, you can share YouTube videos on Facebook. So if any of the council members feel they're not being transparent, feel free on your own personal page to share that link. Then people can still view it on YouTube. So I actually shared this live link. So hopefully my Facebook friends are watching right now. Subscribe. But so potentially friends of mine are watching right now. It just was a shot in the dark. I thought, hey, how fun! We're live streamed. I'm gonna share it quick. So it's very easy. It's super. Everyone. It's a learning curve for technology for everything.
Yep.
Myself. But super easy to share via YouTube. It's very user friendly.
So a person can go on to YouTube tonight before the meeting starts and share it right away?
Share it right away. As soon and she started 5 minutes early, so you can actually
go on to it.
Can right away, boom, share, and your mom log in.
Beautiful.
She's watching.
Okay, after the meeting, we're talking, Lindsay.
Okay.
So just to get back to the agenda item, like I said, a lot of people I talk to don't get the paper, but they also don't. Do YouTube or no Facebook or whatever, So I think they like the option of if being able to get mailed, So
Yes.
So I don't know.
It's an option.
I call that old school, that if you want, if you want the paper, you just contact the city and ask for it, and the city will mail it to you. So if you aren't getting it, you've got nobody to blame but yourself because you haven't done a simple task of contacting the city to request it. So
One other concern that's coming to me as we're having the discussion is that the community television does not televise our second meetings of the month. It seems to me we're relying heavily in this plan on community television or some other means of recording those proceedings and making them available to enhance our transparency. So I don't know what could be done to ensure that both meetings get.
So I'll get back to the agenda, and then I'll make a motion.
All right. I take it we moved on from the motion that I made that I think you supported, didn't you? But I'll withdraw that. I'll withdraw that motion, Councilor Warshak.
That we do indeed not print our minutes in the Mesabi Daily anymore, and that we do advertise once or twice more that people can get minutes mailed to them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's something that we can update on our website as well.
Yeah.
And do you want to add anything to it about the other meeting?
There's nothing on here about that.
There's nothing on that resolution, right?
Well, and there's nothing on here about YouTube or Facebook or whatever. We're here to talk about the newspaper. And that's how our meetings get drug out that we talked about. We start dragging a lot of other things in, and I think we need to.
All right, well, there's a motion on the table. Is there support? All right, seeing no support, does anyone want to make an alternative motion of how to proceed with this?
I'll make a motion to continue publishing in the newspaper our city meeting minutes.
Is there support for that motion?
I'll support that.
All right, it's been moved and supported then. Further discussion? I guess I'd chime in. In this whole discussion, I'm kind of wondering whether all these are mutually exclusive. Whether we couldn't envision in this time of sort of challenges to public meetings and other media options becoming available, that we maybe pursue the publication, like Councilor Jobs' motion, is done at the same time that we're developing our YouTube and community television, and kind of see where we stand with the pandemic, or we stand with public meetings, and maybe what the experience has been. We could do some survey on YouTube, to see how many people that watch it on YouTube are in fact finding that to be an
I like Dave. Let's keep that on a different agenda item. Let's take a vote on the
All right,
motion support.
All right, so any further discussion? If not, whoops.
The only thing I have is, we publish them in the newspaper. It's a long time before they're posted in there. By mail, they could get them a lot sooner and for free.
Yeah.
So what, am I missing something here? Or?
I agree.
I mean,
Well, that motion was out there, but there wasn't a support.
But then-
for it, so
Well,
if you do both, then you're spending more money.
then we're spending more.
Yeah.
But if it's free, then how are we spending more money? You said it was free. If they ask for it to be mailed to them, it's free. But if we
For
publish
them.
it,
For them.
For them. Otherwise, they'd have to go out and buy a newspaper.
for the paper, yeah.
And they don't know exactly what day that's going to be in there.
Yeah.
Call for the vote.
All right, any further discussion? If not, vote's been called for. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Okay.
All right,
let's
well,
move on.
and notwithstanding Councilor Warshak's appropriate wanting us to move on and not bring in other issues, I guess I'm going to interpret that we have...
Where does that leave us? Neither one of them went any place, Mike. So
Well,
we're still good. We're still publishing
you're
then?
still
or-
publishing. I mean, you're still publishing.
We haven't changed anything. I think
Well, no, because we voted down continuing to publish.
yeah.
No.
Just voted that down.
Yeah.
So not right now. We're not doing anything.
Well, by law, you have to publish.
Publish.
Yeah. And by law, anyone who requests a copy of the minutes can get them, right?
So can I remake my motion?
What is it? I mean, I'm not technology savvy. your foot's on the cord, so that's why it's...
Thank you. Thank you.
The second meeting that's not YouTube or whatever, what does it take to do that?
Mike, you're getting us back into the area we
No,
want
but
to
I
go.
mean, I just want to know for myself. I'm trying to understand.
Well, I'm drawing from all this that we don't have consensus. I mean, we've
Or you do the YouTube and the second meeting you publish. You split the baby for a year or something. I don't...
Well, I'll try to help clarify a little bit, maybe not. The resolution was regarding published proceedings, and it's an alternative. It didn't have anything to do with YouTube. That just came into it because of the transparency comments. The published proceedings, the resolution, what it outlines is that the council would indicate whether or not we would continue publishing approved meeting minutes in the Mesaba Daily Tribune or not, and if not, we would then mail a copy of the approved meeting minutes to anyone that requested a copy of them to be mailed. So that's what the resolution states. We did have move and support from Gregor Warshak to adopt that resolution, and then a resolution, two other motions. So it would be really good to just maybe stick with the proposed resolution or not.
all right, and the proposed resolution is, as you say, strictly limited to whether we publish or don't.
In the Mesaba Daily Tribune.
All right.
I make a motion to adopt that resolution.
All right, is there support? Lacking support.
Don't understand.
Again,
Don't understand at all, but whatever.
I could see us having maybe some maybe in the next meeting some optional forms of resolution that give us a spectrum of addressing some of these issues which we don't want to pursue further today.
So as far, okay, and I agree. So, but as far as I'm concerned, we're not publishing. We voted down publishing this.
By law, you have to publish. You can't violate the law as a council.
Well, we don't have to publish. We can mail.
Are you going to mail it to every citizen?
I don't know. We voted down publishing, Mike. We just voted down.
Yeah, but you can't take action contrary to Minnesota state law.
So the state law says that if you're not publishing in the Mesaba Daily, which is our official newspaper, that you would mail them the approved meeting minutes to any resident that requested them.
We'll do that then. That's what. Yeah, we'll follow state law.
I don't think that's consistent with Councilor Jobs.
Well, I mean that was our last vote.
I think all of our other proposed actions have been defeated, and city attorney's basically saying in the absence of that,
Follow state law.
we would have to follow state law, which would include, or could include publications, or could include mailing, right?
The state statute says if you don't publish the meeting minutes in your legal paper, you would then mail them to any resident who requested to have them mailed. That's what the state statute says. It doesn't say anything else about the other things that you were discussing.
But in order to not to publish, you have to adopt a resolution not to publish.
Yep.
And that did get approved. So you are in effect still publishing, even though you voted not to publish because you can't violate state law.
All right. Well, I hope everyone's clear on that.
No.
Clear as mud.
All right. Well,
Doesn't make any sense that they vote no, but yet won't support a separate motion. So that maybe just move on then. Keep it as is.
Nothing was passed.
all right.
Nothing.
So let's move on in the agenda then, assuming that we haven't changed anything at this point. So next item on the agenda, let's see. would be the ambulance agreement, 16.6. City Clerk, do you want to give us an update on where we stand with that?
Yep, the ambulance agreement was presented to council at a previous council meeting. Had plenty of time to review, ask questions. Haven't had any more questions as of late. Town of White met at their town board meeting last week. They approved a 2-year contract to be reviewed at that time for moving forward with additional years. As proposed in the 5-year budget, or excuse me, agreement. The Town of White, City of Aurora, and White Lakes all have to be in agreement for the contract or the agreement to move forward. So that's where I'm
I think we were looking for some guidance from the Town of White. So in light of that report, is there a motion to approve the proposed ambulance agreement for a term of 2 years ending December 31st, 2023? On the terms that are in that proposed ambulance agreement. I'll make the motion.
I'll support.
All right, moved and supported. Further thoughts and discussions?
It's an important service. We need to pay for it.
Right.
14,000. Yes, it's going up, dramatically going up.
But it's important.
But they wanted a longer agreement.
Yes,
So,
it was 4. This is
and that's when your huge increases came in, was towards the end of it.
Right.
So we'll like to go for the 2-year agreement and then take it from there.
See how they're doing the financials and what actually the numbers are
We
showing.
have a meeting next week. I'll make sure I keep all my financials and make copies and have staff distribute them.
Very
Or
good.
maybe she'll get the electronic copies.
Further discussion on the motion on the table? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Moving to 16.7, the seasonal part-time position, ring attendant. Excuse me, the city clerk's agenda memo is got some information. Any new updates since the agenda was prepared, city clerk?
Yep, we received one other person interested in moving forward. The person who had previously attended the rink for the last couple of years is willing to do a portion of it. So, I don't know, we have to get together as a temporary hiring committee probably and know that we have 2 potential to consider anyways.
Yeah, I had a discussion with the former attendant, and he was willing to do the clearing of the rink and the resurfacing of the rink, and the other applicant, I don't believe, is of age that can run the equipment, so it's kind of a good deal if both of them agree to work together. It would be similar to what we had last year. So my recommendation would be to move forward with the 2 that have applied together.
Kind of a joint appointment. In order to do that, would we need to know their names, or do you want it to go back to the committee for further discussion of how to work out that?
I believe it's going to have to go through the hiring committee, but that should take place very quickly because the season is upon us.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could start flooding or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And the previous employee did say he'd be willing to start anytime, so, I mean, that's, the good news. We're not quite at the point of being able to get our custodian hired yet either, so.
I think to follow the procedure, we'd have to do background check, correct? And then they would have to accept the position, but yeah.
So do you envision that we'd be prepared to be able to make a decision at the next council meeting?
I would certainly hope so.
All right. Is there a
Or
motion?
you could make a motion that if they pass the background check and they're both interested, that we could just move forward with that.
Contingent on,
Contingent.
Background check,
Yeah, yeah.
I'd be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion.
It's moved by Councilor Hawkla, support, and supported. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Need that drink open.
All right. Let's see, moving on to the community center custodian. I think you made some reference to that, city clerk. Where does that stand?
Yeah, we were still kind of getting some apps trickling in. We're not quite ready at this meeting for a recommendation, but I would say for surely by the next meeting, we'll have a recommendation. We did hire a professional cleaner to come in there and do a deep clean. I would recommend everyone to kind of go take a peek at the community center. I sent out some pictures this last week of the floor that's now coming up as well. There's a lot of stuff going on over there, so could use a little love. So we're trying to get it in the meantime, and hopefully we get a good cleaner in there in the next couple of weeks as well.
And hopefully our grant request is
More to come, right?
awarded, yeah. All right, in light of what the city clerk has indicated, is there a motion to table that matter to the next meeting?
So moved.
Moved, support. All right, moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. Moving on to new business. We've already dealt with 17.1, 17.2. Magny Construction pay request number 2 for the mechanical screen improvements at the wastewater facility. We've got the recommendation from our engineer, Bolton and Mank, who's reviewed the matter. It's a request for a payment in the amount of $115,721.40. Let's see, City Clerk, is there anything new to add to that? Or I'm sorry, Public Works Director Thuringer, is that you've reviewed this and it seems in order to authorize a payment?
I reviewed it, discussed it with the engineer. The work that has been performed is evident. You can see the results, so I would recommend payment.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
It's moved and supported. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 17.3, which is the resolution related to the property tax levy 2021-33. I think it's listed in our agenda as 34. Is that?
Yeah.
We just got shuffled.
It got shuffled because they had Steve shearing afterwards. Or it
Well,
was,
I'm just looking at the prepared resolution on property tax levy. It seems to me to be, in any event, going by what's in the packet, I would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 2021-34 for the proposed levy of $1,443,271.
So moved.
It's moved. Is support?
Support.
All right, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So our levy is set. And based on the levy having been set, then I think we move next to the budget resolution, which is resolution 2021-34. No, that's the levy. I'm sorry.
33.
33, all right. And City Clerk, any additional comments on the budget that we worked on? It's the same one that we approved.
Yep, same one as approved when we had our truth in taxation, and nothing changed. So
Yep. Certainly want to take time to acknowledge and thank the citizens that showed up for the Truth in Taxation hearing. I hope it was informative for everyone concerned, and everyone conducted themselves in a civil manner, and I think we took care of some good considerations in business on that. So is there a motion to adopt the proposed resolution?
So moved.
I'll support. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 17.5, cell tower land purchase agreement before us. Let's see, City Attorney, you've reviewed that, is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
All right. I discussed some concerns that I had haunted by my prior profession. The proposed agreement does contain in it a provision that the agreement itself would be the sole and entire agreement between us and the proposed purchaser. And I guess I I have an amendment that I'd like to, all right, make a motion to authorize the city attorney to complete final revisions, technical revisions to the proposed purchase agreement, with the motion including approve the purchase agreement, or the option purchase agreement, subject to an addendum to be incorporated by reference into that option agreement, detailing the representations about lighting, fencing, height, collapsibility, and other structural and operational elements of the cell tower as previously represented on the record to the council, and making the tower installation subject to applicable local zoning controls at the time of installation.
My recommendation would be, rather than do it contingent upon that, is that you see the actual language that was kind of the inducement to sell it to the council, and we'll do this and do that. It said nothing about that in the purchase agreement. I think it should be in the purchase agreement. And then once we got that language, we'd have to go back to see what actually they said. Then we would incorporate it as an addendum in the purchase agreement, and then the council could act on it. I mean, they've had it for 6 or 7, I don't know how long they've sat on it, but I think the council should see the actual language, that you're voting on.
So to deal with the mechanics of that, what city clerk would dig up or make a record of what was represented to the council in terms of elements of the project, and then you, as city attorney, would find a way to incorporate that into the agreement?
It would be the edit. It wouldn't be an edit. It would be an addendum that we'd want that as part of the purchase agreement. And then with a council approval, we would approve that purchase agreement, and we'd tell them that we're adding this so they've got a heads up. But I mean, that was the inducement that they sold the council on, and, that the council said, yeah, we can agree to that.
In fairness, the city clerk did find that we had approved a site layout, which was one element of the representations that had been made, but there were a lot of other reassurances that I recall having been made, and I think what the city attorney's saying is that we could and should make some kind of a record of those that can be incorporated into the option to purchase.
Yeah, if it's not in the purchase agreement, then, it's not part of the contract. We sold the land, and then I think my recollection is they build a tower and then sell the time, or they sell the tower, the next party coming in is dealing with them and not the city. And then, well, where does it say we had to do that? Well, that's what you sold to the city, and well, yeah, but it's not in the they go to the contract. It's not in the contract, the purchase agreement.
All right, in light of those comments, I guess I'd entertain a motion to table this with instructions to the city clerk and the city attorney to prepare the supplemental language to address those conditions. Is there a second? Or was that, it's made by Councilor Warshak?
No, Regine seconded it.
All right, Regine seconded. All right. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 17.6, which was dealing with the ARPA funds. And City Clerk, you want to give us some background on that proposed action?
Some cities and towns didn't apply for some of the American Rescue Plan funds that were available for them. So those funds are being redistributed to cities and towns that did apply for them. So the resolution includes the amount that City of Aurora will realize, which we received half the payment now, and then we'll receive the other half with our already planned second half payment of the RPA funds.
Is there a motion to approve the prepared resolution number 2021-35?
Who makes that motion?
It's been moved. Is there support?
Support.
All right, we have motion support. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. 17.7 deals with the auction proceeds. We have the details for the accounting materials in the packet. City clerk, do you want to just explain both how we obtained it, what we obtained, and where you're proposing they should be allocated?
The city council had previously declared some surplus equipment in the fire department and public works, and those equipments were sold through Two Rivers auctions here in town. The fire department realized $4,413.75 in equipment that was sold, and public works realized $12,029.78. The recommendation was that the funds that were raised in each of these departments be assigned for each of those departments to update equipment that they currently have or replace what was sold.
All right. And on this one, we don't have a resolution, right? This would just be by motion to approve the allocation of the funds. Is there a motion to so allocate them?
So moved.
Support? I'll support. All right, further discussion?
Can you just expand on the budget impact line? So if we allow these funds to be in a specific line item, then those departments such as the Public Works and Fire Department would be able to utilize that money to buy new equipment, correct?
They wouldn't be assigned to a current budget line item. They'd be in assigned funds. So that is funds that would be assigned that would be available this fiscal year or next, or until them funds were depleted.
That's a good clarification. In other words, they will carry over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving to City Hall hours, we have a request from Councilor Honkala regarding a potential.
No, that's the next one.
That's the next one. City Hall. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, City Hall hours. City Clerk, can you explain that agenda item?
Yeah, so we had recently implemented our online bill pay and have seen a drastic reduction in traffic at City Hall. Prior, we rarely saw traffic before 8 in the morning or after 4 o'clock. The clerk's office staff would like to reduce the office hours to 8 to 4 to align with Town White at their previous meeting had approved the same schedule. Work hours would be something that administratively I would manage outside of those hours, but open to the public 8 to 4. Getting back to when Tim Koke was here, the office hours were changed for personal preference and no other reason from what I could see from the meeting minutes.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the change in the office hours?
I'll make that motion.
All right, it's been moved. Support?
I'll support.
Moved and supported. Further discussion on it?
Maybe they did that so they don't have to put up with me for half an hour after day shift.
Not at all.
I'll defer to the record or whatever.
No, they can only bother them for a few minutes.
Before we take vote.
Real quick, does this mean that then it's paid lunches? Is that what?
That's something that I would manage with my staff. Yep. As long as they're abiding with labor laws, I can manage their lunch hours for them.
Oh, maybe I misunderstood that then. Paid lunches.
No,
No.
they're not getting paid lunches.
Yeah, because I mean,
No,
yeah,
so
we're not changing that. We're just changing hours the office are
Yes.
open. Yeah.
Open to the public.
Public?
Oh, to the public,
okay,
to the public.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still going to be working their 40 hours
Okay.
or whatever.
I was like,
but,
wait a minute here.
Yeah.
It's not adding up.
Yeah.
So,
Which
okay.
made me nervous when you said, oh, that's something I manage. Well,
Okay.
yeah, no, that's something the
Okay.
council manages,
So-
is whether you get paid lunches or not, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're clear now on the
Staff
motion.
would still be here, but it's not, it's open to public, okay.
Right, it's open to the
Okay.
public. All right, so further discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. City Hall hours are adjusted. Moving now on to 17.9, council meeting start times. It's a matter that Councilor Honkala has requested, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's appropriate, but do you want to
Absolutely,
explain?
I'll share.
All right.
I am in a temporary position of president of the liberal arts at the Saudi Range. Temporary position till May. And so part of that expectation is that the first week or the first Thursday of every month, I have a union/shared governance meeting on the first Thursday. And prior to that shared government, so that's union and administration meeting, we get together as a union and talk about what we want to bring to the table. So that happens the Tuesday before, which falls on our council meetings. So either A, you can continue and go forth with the meeting, but I will not be able to attend, or B, would have to push the meeting back a half hour. The meeting on Tuesday is via Zoom, so I could be right in the parking lot ready to go, and the Zoom is from 5 to 6. So I would be walking in right on the button for the city council meeting. I know we talked about this in the past, and JL was against it because then it pushes our meetings later. This is my job.
Right.
So,
Did you share with Councilor Honkala the statute? Or?
No, I received it
All right.
right before the meeting.
We did a little legal research, and there is a state statute, which I don't know if your administration is aware of this, that says a person elected to a public office must be permitted time off from regular employment to attend meetings required by reason of the public office.
I could request it, and I think it's an honor to serve my union as president, temporarily serve it. It's not a position I would seek after. Yes, but I've also watched JL work during these meetings. You know, I don't believe you were paid if you missed work. I believe you said that if you missed work, you weren't paid for that.
No.
So here you put a financial burden on him to force him to come to meetings. So I'm not, this is an important position and I will fill it.
Well, I'm comforted by the fact you're saying that once the meeting's over, you could instantaneously be back with us.
And it's important to remember, this is temporary. It only goes till May. It's not like forever. It's a till May thing.
The college is in transition as we consolidate campuses, and so this will be short-lived. It will be until May. June 1st, the button flips and we become a new college. And I would be able to make the second meeting at 5:30, or I can miss that first meeting for the next 4 months, which is not unheard of. It's been done before.
Right.
And then I would attend the second meeting.
And again, it wouldn't have to be all of the meeting, right? You'd be missing. You could join.
I could join a half hour late to the regular meeting the first Tuesdays.
Getting back to the transparency thing a little bit, I hate to change meeting times for just 4 months or whatever, because people right now may be confused as to, well, I know I'm confused as to what's going to be printed and not printed, and then you add in when our meetings start,
I am okay if you want to continue with the 5:30. I'm not at all offended.
and I would lean that way, Talisha, and then if you could make it a little late or whatever, and like you said, you'll make the second meeting of each month.
Yes, I would be able to make it.
Yeah.
And any other special meeting that we have, because
Right.
we've had quite a few of them. Yeah. It's just that first meeting. And it's 4 months.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's a difficult position to be in because you have commitments or responsibilities to two different bodies, and I empathize with the sort of situation. I guess on the other hand, I tend to think that it's a natural assumption that not everyone's going to be retired like Councilor Warshak and myself, and that there will be.
Well, it's just been less than a year that I've been retired, and it is tough to make it to all the meetings when you're working. So I mean, that's just something. Yeah. And Norma Jean's, you know, working, she's a little more flexible maybe than some of us, or some of us were or whatever, but yeah, you know, so.
I'm open to it either way, so.
Now, Dave,
Trying to add drama to it.
Yeah.
I guess it's not really going to affect me in any way, but my question is procedure here. How did this make it onto the agenda? What I was always told is 2 councilors or the mayor could have something placed
That's what
on
I was
the.
told too, and I guess I didn't ask that question, but.
I didn't ask. I thought it was.
I don't know if that's the rule but that's what I was told, you know.
I'm not sure we've been relying on that rule recently that I'm aware of. We do have agenda meetings now with the city clerk, myself, and sometimes another counselor to kind of go over matters. Yeah. So
But I believe that came about when Becky was city administrator.
I think that's where it came, yeah, you're right, yeah.
But just kind of an internal operational rule.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're going. If it's
No, I don't think it was internal operational, I think it was like a state
It's a
statute
state
type thing.
statute. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah. But I'm not for sure, you know.
City attorney, do you want to weigh in on that?
I think it was 2 councilors can put it on the agenda or the mayor. I mean, if the mayor saw the agenda and said it's okay, it's like he's consented to the agenda.
That's true too.
So,
We do have the agendas. They're very meetings are very fruitful, and I fully was aware that this was going to be on the agenda. So to the extent that satisfies some of the requirements, you can go ahead with that. All right. Well, the motion would be whether, as a temporary accommodation to Councilor Honkala's situation, the council meetings would be moved to 6 o'clock on those dates that are affected, or whether we stay with the council times as they are. I guess. Does anyone want to make a motion one way or the other?
I'll make the motion that we stay as is at 5:30.
Well, I think in the long-term interests, I'd second that. So, further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
no.
Could you do a roll call so I can have everyone's names, please? I didn't catch.
All right. Do you want
Or
to?
I'll do the
Each of
roll
us.
call. Sorry. Gregor.
Let's see, but I'm trying to remember the motion. There was.
You're just voting.
Yes, I voted yes. All right.
Okay. Warshak.
Yes.
Honkala.
No.
Jolfs.
No.
And Moxel.
I'd like to abstain for the fact it's not going to affect me.
Okay.
So it stalls and it stays at 5:30. Gotcha.
Okay, well, that's one way to make decisions.
Yeah, that's one way.
Looking on to 1710, cost share, Town of White water service reroute. I don't know whether the Public Works Director or the City Clerk wants to take this one, or?
I'll take this one. Through a project that Town of White has just recently completed, we have now looped water around the west side of Gardendale, joining back into our supply line that serves the wastewater plant and one residence at Town of White's South 3rd Street. This gives us the opportunity to abandon a section of our water line that is of very great cost in repairs from Town of White's South 2nd Street to South 3rd Street. However, there is one resident that is connected to the old line that resides in the Town of White. It would prevent us from abandoning that. Stephanie and I have informed the Town of White in June that upon completion we would be abandoning the line due to the frequency of required repairs, which are extremely expensive. I don't believe any action was taken until we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago and we discussed it, and we thought the suggestion that the agreement we came to is that we would split the cost. It's about half the cost of one repair on that line, which has been averaging 3 repairs per year. So it is in Aurora's best interest to co-pay this with the town of White, so then therefore we can abandon this section of water line until funding could be found to someday resurrect that line. It's not really required anymore. So,
All right, we've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to approve the proposal to split the costs with the town of White?
So moved.
Moved, support?
Support.
Moved, supported. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Last item on the agenda, 1711, is the on-sale liquor license application of Krakowski Incorporated for the Copper Nickel. They've had a license before, and the request was to reinstate it, right?
Yes, contingent on all required documents being received. At the time the agenda memo went out, it wasn't all received, but we have now received all required documentation and payment.
All right, is there a motion to approve the granting of that license?
So moved.
Moved.
I'll support.
Moved and supported. Further discussion?
No, is that going to be full cost for this license or prorated or?
It was full cost.
So he's paying full cost for 6 months? Mm-hmm. Because your liquor license are renewed July 1st, so.
All right. Motion's before us. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have as agenda item 1712, other business. Is there other business to be brought before the body? Seeing none, I note that our next meeting is December 21st at 5:30, and I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll support.
Moved and supported. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned. And you have